Hey guys, today we're going to talk about conjunctive adverbs. Hopefully by the end of this video you can identify kind of what they are, how to identify them, use them and punctuate them, and then use them in simple sentences and complex sentences. So let's take a look. So conjunctive adverbs are commonly known as THAMOs, just because the most commonly used ones have the acronym THAMO. They're words like therefore or thus, however, additionally, moreover, otherwise. They're called conjunctive because they kind of conjoin things, just like fanboys like and or but or so are conjunctions. They join sentences together. These also join sentences or thoughts or ideas together, but they don't quite act in the same way. They're not a pure conjunction. So usually we can't just do a comma and add however. We've got to do something a little bit more. So these things do two basic tasks for us in writing. Number one, they transition from ideas. They indicate here's one idea that I'm going to, and here's the next in a meaningful way. That's why we call them transitions. So the boy fell down, however, he wasn't hurt. So this however is acting as a contrast. So we're saying this happened, but he wasn't hurt. But these can also interrupt sentences. Doesn't always have to come at the start of the sentence like this one does here. We could say he, however, wasn't hurt. It's interrupting the middle of that sentence there. So both as transitions, transitioning words, introductions to sentences, or interruptions, similar to like what we would have in a non-essential phrase, surrounded by commas. So punctuating these gets a little, not sticky, but there's just a lot of different ways we can do it. So take a look at this first one. I told my mom I broke her vase. Consequently, I knew I would be grounded. So we've got two sentences here. Sentence number one, highlight this guy blue so we can see it. And then we just start this next sentence. Consequently, I knew I would be grounded. So it's acting as that introductory word, just one simple comma. I'll put that bold and I'll make it really big. There we go. There's my comma. And then I've got this other one where it's also acting as an introduction, but it's not the introduction to a new sentence. It's the introduction to a new independent clause. She folded her arms. That's one sentence. And at this time, I'm connecting it with a semicolon and the indeed. So a lot of times students will try to do this, but conjunctive adverbs don't work that way. They don't work like the word but or so, right? We need to have a full stop either in the form of a period or a semicolon. But again, like I said, they didn't have to come at the beginning of sentences. So I tried to explain. She, however, didn't want to hear those excuses. Notice how I have my however right here, bold, and it's surrounded by commas. Commas at the beginning, commas at the end, which means I could take it out. I could just say she didn't want to hear excuses. But if I kind of want to put that in contrast to my explaining things, I'll use that transition word. We could also put it all the way at the end of a sentence. This still is considered an interruption, even though it's not interrupting the actual sentence, it's interrupting the end of the sentence. It still works. I tried to explain she didn't want to hear excuses, however. Still have to separate that off with a comma. All right, last one. We've got a couple of sentences here and we've got to punctuate them correctly. We're going to practice this. So I've got a couple of my THAMOs. Let's identify those first. My wife likes ice cream. In fact, she makes her own. The conjunctive adverb in this case is going to be in fact. And then I've got to punctuate that correctly. And there's a couple ways I could do this. I could put a period here, capital I, and then a comma. That would work. This is acting as an introduction to that next sentence. Or a semicolon, and an I. That would work. Second one, John didn't get back to me about this weekend. He therefore must be really busy. So this first sentence doesn't need anything. But here's my THAMO in the second one. And I just have to separate that off from the rest of the sentence, same way I would any other non-essential phrase. All right. Well, good luck, folks. Let me know if you have questions.